Hey, Danny Matta here with PT Biz. We are in the Buckhead area of Atlanta, which is it's basically its own city. We'll get into that in a second. Visiting Elizabeth Rudd here with Well Equipped Physical Therapy. Super excited to show off her space. She is not just a great clinician, but one of our coaches as well. So she's been helping a ton of clinicians over the last few years. Why Buckhead? Why did you pick to set up your practice here?
Okay, Buckhead is a rare breed here in Atlanta. We call it the Buckhead bubble for a reason. People who live here stay here. I grew up here. I went to school, middle school, high school here, and I don't know, here you've got your active adults playing recreational athletes or sports like golf, tennis. Yeah. You've got I call them class passers. They're going to all the studios, Pilates, yoga, HIIT training, fast twitch. But it's a great spot to live. I grew up here, so it made sense for me to open up here and build from there. My kids are actually 5th generation Atlanta Buckhead.
Really?
Yep, lots of generations here. My parents were here at the time. They were in that active adult patient population. Yeah. So when I opened, they referred all their friends in.
Oh, that's huge.
Actually found the gym that I started in from my mom's personal trainer. So great connections and a lot of great referrals coming in pretty quickly.
I remember whenever I first came over and met you, you had a table in a gym just like many people do, right?
Yep.
And then now you jump to here next, right? So this was the next, this was your built out office and now we'll show the downstairs in a second, but it's an even bigger space and able to, how many rooms do you have at this point?
So we have 3 rooms, 3 treatment rooms, 1 up here, 2 downstairs. We have 3 full-time therapists, so everybody kind of gets to use the room as they need. Yeah. This is kind of my office now, so this is where I do a lot of PT Biz coaching, hanging right here. Nice. So yeah, we have some good space to choose from. First one, when I started off in the gym, I was still working part-time for another PT practice. Yeah. The hardest part is figuring out when you're gonna jump from part-time to full-time into your own business. By far the hardest, because I think you're just up at night, you're crunching numbers, you don't know when you should. Second hardest part is build out, of course, because when you're building out, you're also adding on new staff. So you're having to deal with larger overhead and a lot of stuff. And I think one thing that I didn't realize is you have to treat all your patients, but then you also have to build clinic and you have to be putting things together and hanging things on the walls. So
as a coach, what have you seen in terms of, is there a revenue amount or is it really just once you feel time poor, you got to go for it?
Yeah, more time poor, kind of what I use objectively is how many available hours can you treat in your business that you're trying to grow and build, and what's 70% of filling that? So if you hit that 70% mark, you're ready to jump or at least decrease hours elsewhere, and that's kind of where I feel the sweet spot is.
Well, let's check the office out real quick, and maybe we can talk a little bit about your ideal client. Who are you guys working with? Who's your ideal client that comes in here?
Yeah, our ideal client typically is anybody local active adults. I like to call them class passers just because they are hitting all the fitness studios. Yeah. They're typically doing things. They want to work out, but they have poor form. Yeah. They want to stay in the gym. We also work with a lot of tennis players, runners, and golfers. So. Yeah,
you go from the gym, got a table in the corner, next you're here. So how long were you in this space before you said, all right, I got to find another spot?
I maximized the space, which was awesome. So I hired on a PT and we literally flip-flopped.
Yeah.
So I worked 7 to 1, she worked 1 to 7 every day. And so we maximized all our time in just this room. For a short period of time, there's one more room that kind of backs up to these walls. We were able to plop a table in there and kind of have some overflow, so we were able to maximize space a little more. That was December 2019 and then 2022. Of June, so a year and a half, I maximized this space.
A year and a half?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. To get 2 people, was it 2 full schedules or was it a 1.5, 1.7? What would you say? Because if somebody has one office, I think this is actually something that we run into a lot.
Yeah.
They're I don't know if I feel comfortable just yet, but I do want to hire.
Yeah.
You can definitely hire somebody.
Yep.
You just are building their schedule up kind of along the way, and maybe you have to look for transition to a bigger space during that time. Would you recommend something like that, or just stay here as long as you possibly can?
Yeah, so staying here as long as possible is just helpful from an overhead standpoint.
For sure.
But also, don't forget, I was on maternity leave.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I came back with a newborn, so my schedule, I already wanted to back off, and as she was ramping up, she wanted more hours. So really, it kind of ebbed and flowed where I took a step back and she took more of the room, and that worked out really nicely. So we had 28 hours each available at the beginning, and then I stepped back and she was able to add to it. Okay, so we set up this workshop with a place that we'd been looking to make a connection with for like 2 years. And finally they're agreeable. They're like, yep, we'll set up a workshop with you. We're in. So we put it on the books, and that morning, one of my staff PTs texted me at like 6 a.m. Her daughter has 101 fever. My other staff PT texted me, she's like, my dog needs to go to the vet. We have an ER visit. I'm coming, but I'm gonna be late. Now, I wasn't planning on being there because I'm in like active labor at home. Contractions are like 5 minutes apart, okay? And I'm like, holy shit, what do I do? Jump in the shower, like hair's wet, tell my husband, like, I'm out, you've got to take care of the toddler. Jump in the car, calling my mom. I'm like, Mom, I think I'm gonna go into labor. Like, I'm freaking out because I've got to go cover this workshop. And I get there, and everybody there is like, when do you do? When do you do? I'm like, now. Like, I hope to go from here to the hospital. Seriously. So yeah, completed. I was like texting Jaxie. I was like, why do we do this? I don't understand. But made it through, and my son was born like 36 hours later.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. Let's go check out the big space, and we can kind of learn a bit more about what you guys have grown into and what that looks like. So we'll head down there.
So I'm backing off. I've got 2 full-time, and I'm looking for 1 more kind of part-time to full-time, and that would be like maxed out capacity here for us.
Yeah, so if you're watching this and you want a job, leave a comment. Let's check this room out. So this is another one of your spaces. When you designed this, like, this is one question that's maybe a little more nuanced, but did you have any sort of thought process into why you picked the size of the space that you did for the offices? Or was it just like, you want to go as small as possible, or are people doing maybe a little bit of movement stuff in here? Like, why did you choose the space size?
Partially because that was what worked with the space. I wanted 3, but the 3 treatment rooms were gonna be really, really small, and I didn't want them to be super small. So we just divided them in half, and then we realized that we were gonna be able to utilize tables for manual and also be able to move around if we needed to, so a little more privacy. Whereas not everybody needs to be out in the gym.
Is a high-low a must for you, or?
Oh yeah.
Because I go back and forth in this. I never didn't use a high-low my whole career, because in the Army, they have high-lows everywhere.
Yeah.
But then when I got out and we started our practice, I realized how expensive a high-low table was, and I didn't buy one.
The first thing I bought.
Is it?
Oh my God. Well, again, I was pregnant. So it's like,
right, yeah.
I had to save myself, so it was like, you've got to protect yourself at all costs. And we have patients that like love to ride up and down the table. It's kind of funny.
I love riding up and down on a high-low table.
It's like the highlight.
It is. My kids would come whenever I was in the military, they'd get in the office and we'd lower it all the way down, and then we'd raise it up, and then we lower it down, and it's like, it's probably worth it just for that. But you're right, no, it makes sense. And I wonder sometimes when people look at, build out and where they can allocate money, because, to go from a gym to their first standalone space, there's like obviously constraints there. They can just do whatever they want, and there's maybe build out costs that they don't realize are going to be as expensive as they are. And for a high-low table, so you feel like this is just, you're reinvesting your people by them being able to positionally be in a better spot.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so where do you get most of the folks that come in here? Like, what's your sort of breakdown of where they're coming from?
Yeah, so mostly everybody's word of mouth at this point. We've got a lot coming from the gym upstairs. I've got, again, a lot of family and friends, because I'm from here. I went to high school here, so I've got like new moms coming in, friends of mine. I've got my parents and their friends coming in. A lot of country club goers, so a lot of that. My husband's into paddle. Or racket sports, so paddle, tennis, padel, you know.
Pickleball? He playing a little?
No, he's not playing pickleball.
Oh, really? That's like the fastest growing.
Oh,
no, don't do it. You gotta get, you do it's like big ping pong. So it's awesome.
So I got a lot of racket sports people coming in here just from him being in that world.
For you, like, what's the new patient volume typically on a monthly basis? So to give people an idea, so 3 full-time PTs in a space like this, how many new people are you typically seeing?
So we see about 12 to 15 new patients. We do a really, really good job with continuity.
Yeah.
So once the patient comes in the door, like, they're sticking around, they're here forever. So we don't need to go out and get a super
I think that's huge.
high amount of new patients. So they come in, they stay, we provide services to keep them here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of our bread and butter.
Well, I think, so on the back end, you're talking about continuity and people sticking around. what are your primary sort of offerings for ongoing services for people?
Typically, it's we start with a plan of care, so that's typical like 6 to 10 visits, and then from there we just tell people like we put them through strength testing, movement testing, wherever we see deficits and whatever goals they're trying to achieve, we kind of point that out, and then we just see them on a monthly cadence. And they come in for an hour, they get 30 minutes hands-on and then training, so that they can achieve what they're trying to achieve.
You know, for you, I wonder, you know, what's your favorite part of having, you know, started a practice?
Oh, my favorite part is, again, that ability to achieve the balanced wellness, be a mom and have a family. So for me here in the Atlanta area, it's really hard to have an outpatient orthopedic like part-time job. You can't really do both. You're burnt out or you're moving on. And so I love that I can come in and treat on my own hours and build a business at home early mornings, like before the kids wake up. And so I have a lot of really awesome flexibility and a lot of creativity and ability to have fun with it. So. I think just being able to be a mom and a business owner is really my favorite and like most fulfilling part of it. And
you're good at the game. Like, it's a big game, you know, being able to be creative and solve problems and create win-win solutions for your people, you know, and partner and stuff. It's just a really cool thing. So 5 years from now, we'll finish with this. Like, where's Well Equipped? Where, like, if you say, you know, calling your shot, here's where you're at, what's it gonna look like? Yeah, it depends on the day. Sometimes I really like keeping it like small and simple. And other days I'm like, I wanna buy a building and have a bunch of people under me, you know? So I think really just the main goal is like multidisciplinary care. We have yoga and PT, we've had massage in and out, would love to add like nutrition and counseling on top of that, bringing in pelvic floor. So I love that. Some help there. You should do it. Yeah. Okay. I'm interviewing. I got an interview. If I see a building, I'll let you know. I'll in a 1 mile radius of this exact spot. All right, I'll do that. Hey, we'll finish it there. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time. This was awesome. Well Equipped. Check them out. We'll link to everything below. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.